My name's James, and today I'm going to attempt to fix the Dragon Age 2 official soundtrack. Now, this is a game which I've never played before, and I've also never listened to the official soundtrack. However, what I'm going to do is watch some gameplay footage on mute and then create a track from the visuals that I see on screen. So from what I understand, this is the sequel to the Dragon Age Origins, which, from what I understand, the first game was very well received and had quite a large following around it when this was released. Alright, so we've got some character creation. I'm going to skip over this. So the game is RPG, I guess, in these moments where the player gets the option to choose how they want their character to respond. Okay, now we're to the actual gameplay. So up until this point, it's mostly just been cutscenes. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like a mix between the Lord of the Rings Return of the King game and also the Lord of the Rings Shadow of Mordor. I think, was that the first one? Shadow of Mordor? Because I know there's two of those ones. I'm guessing these opening moments are going to be mostly like tutorial. Very sort of, light combat, resource gathering, and a lot of story until we actually get to, sort of full-on gameplay. And a bit of, sort of setting the scene, where we're heading to next, or at least the options of where we can head to next, maybe. Oh. It's really hard to tell with the animation style whether they're meant to be like undead creatures or if they're just orcs. I guess I should also preface that I haven't played Dragon Age Origins either, or any of the Dragon Age games. From what I understand, the music from the first Dragon Age game, Origins, was very well received from players and fans, and the music in this one wasn't as well achieved, or didn't quite live up to that same caliber that was set from the original game. Oh, that's cool. So you can sort of upgrade the stats of your companions as well. Yeah, the way that there's like the numbers popping up from the enemies as they're taking damage, that reminds me a lot of the Lord of the Rings Return of the King game. Such a good game. And then also like a lot of the attack animations, particularly the magic elements from one of the female characters there. Reminds me a lot of like the flame arrows that you get with Legolas. Even the text as well reminds me a lot of the Return of the King game. And even, just like the way the enemies are waiting there idly and even running in. Yeah, very similar. I wonder how many years in between those games were released. Because the Return of the King game was original Xbox? I think I've got it here, actually. When was this released? I don't think it says. Also from EA, actually, so that makes sense. So yeah, pretty funny that both games made by EA are very similar in nature, at least from my memory. It's been a long time since I played the Return of the King game, but I played it a lot. So yeah, so far it's a lot of hacking and slashing. It's a lot of just running around, gathering resources, items, leveling up your party, leveling up your stats, and this is sort of your skills tree, I guess. Which I don't remember you being able to level up during the level in the Return of the King game. I think you had to wait till afterwards, didn't you? You like earned all your XP, and then once you finished the level, you got to throw those points into your skill tree and your stats. Ooh, okay, we got a big boss. Or at least a bigger enemy. That's cool. It's a pretty gnarly looking monster. Very, I guess, like classic demonic looking with the horns. That dude Carver just got pummeled. Okay, so this is an ogre. It's a pretty gnarly looking ogre. That's cool. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen an ogre with like horns like that, and then we're just back to a wave of general. What are these? Hurlock grunts. Okay, yeah, so grunts. Just a general wave of lower stat enemies. There is a lot of these like battle, then cutscene, battle, then cutscene, battle, then cutscene. I wonder, I mean, this is kind of like the age of games where there is a lot of really good RPGs coming out. I wonder if this is truly one where your choices do alter and affect the story, and if so, how much? Because yeah, around, I guess this, 2011 era, you would have Mass Effect already out. Would you have Mass Effect 2? I'm not quite sure. But yeah, Mass Effect 2 was a very good game where, yeah, your choices really did matter and really did affect sort of what happens and sort of like what storylines you would be able to follow and be locked out of. I guess you would have also had Fallout 3 around this time as well, which is a very good game. I haven't played the entire thing. I think I got about halfway through. But yeah, like the constant cuts from just regular kind of boring battle. Oh, finally got a dragon. How long's it been? 17 minutes into the game. And we've got our first dragon. Is it going to be a proper encounter, or is it going to be like a Skyrim opening encounter with a dragon? I would assume with such a low level character that you're not going to be fighting a dragon this early. Oh, okay. So it's like dragon magic. That's cool. So I wonder if the dragons are, yeah, generally friendly, or if they're... Because I guess, yeah, dragons in, I guess, historically are kind of more or less the bad guys, you know, in general fantasy fiction. I do love some of the RPG options that you get. And some games do a really good job of like, yeah, just putting like 3 or 4 words and you get to choose, and you choose that option and it makes sense. Whereas like I've definitely noticed, particularly in playing like Fallout 4, where it's like you would choose an option and then your character says something which isn't quite along the lines of what you're expecting them to say. So like even there, like the option was, yeah, that he chose he was dead, or he is dead, and then like it actually elaborated a much more on that, which was pretty good. So yeah, is this like a world where dragons are very well known, or are they more like historic figures at this point, you know, myth and legend? You know, they seem pretty surprised that she was a dragon then turned into human, so it does seem like it's not exactly, you know, commonplace. We got elves as well. Merathari? Merathari. And some fantasy names just sound so good and some just sound absolutely ridiculous, don't they? There's so much talking. I mean, I know that's what RPGs are about. Yeah, he's looking pretty bad, isn't he? Let's get it over and done with. Oh. With his own sword too. What a way to go. Couldn't they have just moved his hand over slightly more, so he actually could have closed both eyes. Here we go. So, interesting. So the opening is just being told by this guy. I'm guessing dwarf. I mean, he looks pretty chunky and short, or he could just be a very short, stout man. I wonder if the whole game is told from this guy's perspective. It's just him telling this story. It's almost more like visual novel at this point. Like, we're just being told so much. You know, again, how far? We're 25 minutes into the gameplay. And yeah, we're just being told so much. Not really. Like, the only playing that we've done is chose a couple of lines of dialogue, fought some grunts and one ogre, and then and now it's cut to they're on the sea. Alright, so I think I'm going to skip forward a little bit just to see if the gameplay changes at all, or if it's just this same sort of back and forth between fighting enemies and cutscenes. So yeah, skip forward to about 50 minutes into the game. Okay, so I just watched about 30 minutes of gameplay. It was the first 25 minutes or so, and then I skipped through to about an hour, and then to an hour and a half, just to see sort of what changes, if it's the same sort of like just running around, collecting items, fighting enemies, and then cutscenes to those RPG moments of being able to choose dialogue and whatnot. So that kind of seems like all it is the whole game is just, yeah, going on a quest, fighting enemies, and talking to a lot of people, I guess gathering information. So yeah, with all of that out of the way, you know, I'm definitely left with some questions. The biggest one is, yeah, where do I start? Do I go, you know, I'm definitely very tempted to go down the classic fantasy music route and go, you know, sort of orchestral and that sort of thing, which obviously I think it's going to work pretty well. It's just like, how deep do I go into the orchestral sort of moments? And because there is a fairly heavy magic element, I definitely want to play around. I don't think I want to go full straight up orchestra. I do want to throw in something that is a bit more outside of that realm, that maybe, whether it's a synthesizer or whether it is just using effects on an orchestral instrument to make it kind of like otherworldly and magical sounding. That's maybe the route that I'm going to lean towards. But yeah, I do also think I need something that's like a big epic moment as well. You know, particularly, you know, we have these big boss fights, and we've got, you know, obviously a dragon in here. At least one so far that I've seen. I don't know. But yeah, I guess that is another question. Is there actual dragons, or is it just dragon magic? You know, people being able to turn themselves into a dragon. There's still so many questions, so little context, but it's going to be interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself a 2-hour limit, and by the end of it, I hope that I'm going to have a pretty decent finished track that will fit well with the gameplay. So let's get to it. Yeah, I've definitely got this very like foreboding, big sound happening here. I'm really liking this combination of this cello sound, and I've also got what's this, Arturia Lab? Analog Lab. I think it's just the free one. I think it's from Arturia. I'm not sure. But yeah, and it's just on this string sound. Because yeah, I think from the story elements, you know, there's, from the get-go, you're kind of thrown in to a very tragic situation. You know, the champion, as you are called, I guess, in the histories or the legend of the champion. Yeah, you're just thrown into basically your entire world being destroyed, you know, your entire town being completely decimated, trying to find some hope, I guess. So yeah, I'm kind of liking this big like foreboding. I've just got the mod wheel set to controlling on this one it's controlling the morph, which kind of I don't know what that is, the morph control. It seems to maybe affect the bowing simulation that is on that patch, and then on the cello I've got it just affecting the tone, kind of like I guess a low pass. It's very subtle, very nice, just adds a little bit more of a human touch to, you know, a very dry, lifeless MIDI performance. So yeah, just controlling the tone with the mod wheel really helps. Even though this patch, these sample patches actually have some nice variation and character to them. So yeah, I think I like that. I've also then got this like that little melody line as well, and just like I guess along with the big foreboding notes, you get this kind of something like that. It's a little bit rough at the moment, but I'm liking that it's bringing that forebodingness. It's bringing that kind of tension. That yeah, there's like uncertainty and kind of a bit of a dread as well. I kind of do think I want to add a bit of a pulsating, maybe like a bass synth, maybe something like a very slow sequencer. Or like a maybe that's where I can throw in a little bit of like magic or magical element as well. But yeah, definitely some percussion, like potentially some timpani or hand drum kind of thing. Yeah, I definitely want something a little bit rawer, like medieval, I guess. I don't want something so modern, I guess. That sounds very silly talking about, yeah, classical music, but that's kind of, yeah, where I'm going to go. So I think I want to get this section down first. This, yeah, sort of dread, building of dread. And then, yeah, I'm going to build that section with some percussion, with maybe potentially a bass synth, and then see where we go from there. All right, so we've got a tempo set, 78 BPM. Ooh, that's a nice chord. I mean, it is just the first and the fifth, but with this cello patch, it really comes to life, doesn't it? Kind of like that. So that would almost be like two cellos playing together. I like that. A little bit more going on. That's cool. I like that. And I'll probably bring that in more like over here. So let's start putting some markers in. Markers are very helpful. Yeah, I like this as just a bit of a beginning sort of foreboding. Maybe this is sort of like as you were just generally running around. And then this is kind of where maybe to build up that sort of running around, you know, throw in some variation to the doom and gloom, so it's not just the same over and over. Yeah, I like that. That's cool. From there, I've got this viola patch. It's again another one from this decent sampler. I don't know, it doesn't have the original creator here. C&P strings and wind, and this is, yeah, the viola patch, which I really like, this C&P. I've used it quite a lot actually in other projects. This is where I'm thinking, yeah, you could even go like This one has a really interesting character to it, which might be a bit hard to hear. Yeah, there's a lot of character in this patch, and it might not quite come through in the mix of things. I think for this section, I might simplify that melody so that when I bring it fully in, I think, yeah, with maybe the viola and a violin patch, that it is a bit more impactful and it's sort of like, feels like, yeah, the first time you're hearing it. So that's what I'm going to do, I think. I'm going to figure out a much more simpler... Something like that. I think, yeah, it's kind of alluding to the melody that is going to come, but it isn't a direct replication of it. You know, it's got the elements of it, but it's not, yeah, the exact same. Particularly rhythmically. I think, yeah, this one, I really like the rhythm of the main. It feels a bit more spontaneous and a bit more sort of like something jumping out at you and sort of surprising you, and I guess it might be hard to tell if it is an enemy, a foe, or friend, potential ally. But yeah, that whereas like, yeah, that slower, it is just more like continuing on, building upon that sort of desperation and anguish that we've already started building. So I think that's what I'm going to do here, is just, yeah, have this simpler one and then develop to the bigger one. Now that I've got that in, I am now hearing a slight melody change as well. There's... I wanna kind of go up. Don't know where to go after that. Ah, okay. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking. All right. So this is what I'm gonna do. So viola will do this. Just to see more or less proof of concept. I want to see if this is going to be real janky, but just to see if my idea is actually going to work or not. Okay, now this is violin. With the viola. I think it will work. It's very, very sloppy at the moment, but I do think it will work. I'm going to clean that up. If this wasn't a 2-hour challenge, I would definitely practice a little bit more, try and get it actually performed correctly. But because, yeah, I am on the clock, I am going to do some production magic to get it to where I want it to be. I don't want to make it too perfect, but I definitely want to make it better than what it is. Edit the viola first. Reaper is an amazing DAW and has this humanize function. I can hit that, and the second repeat won't be as copy-paste, even though it is. We'll still have some good variation in timing and dynamics. Cool, that is the violi, and this is going to be now the violin. I think my basic string arrangement done, at least for this section. I definitely want to start adding in some percussion. I don't know if I want this to be like the kind of opening and then we get to the end of the melody line and then the percussion comes in and like doom ga-doom 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 and sort of starts building like the tension and the movement up from there. That's kind of what I'm thinking rather than bringing it in earlier. So this might be, say, like the opening A section, and then we move to a bit more of a faster paced, percussive, lead driven B section, which then maybe morphs back into the A section, a bit more of an energetic version of the A section. That's what I'm thinking. So that's what I'm gonna start working on now. Coming together. I think I don't mind that actually. It's pretty cool. Okay, so I've got my drums in, I've got some cymbal swells to build up to it. Now I need something else. I'm not quite sure what. This is, yeah, now sort of like brunch time. It's 2:17, so I've got just under an hour left. I want to... I don't even know what I want. Definitely doesn't work. Ooh. Yeah, some voices. That's exactly what we need. We need some choral voices. Then we start to build the chord. Yeah, okay. Alright. We got something. We got something cooking. Alright. That's what I need. I know exactly what I need. I need staccato strings. It'll be the melody of the voice that's in there, but to the rhythm of the timpani. Okay. Running out of time, got about 40 minutes left. So I think now I've got something cooking. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know if it has exactly gone in the Dragon Age direction that I thought, that I guess I'm meant to, but it's definitely something. I don't know if it's definitely not main theme vibe, but it could fit potentially somewhere in the game. I think what I need to do now is reinforce these choral vocals a little bit and then add a few extra like percussion hits and some other things in. I think I do want to add in like a really low sub bass synth just to kind of like really ground everything and add that, yeah, low sub bass sort of feeling. So something that we're not necessarily going to hear a whole ton in the mix, but definitely feel it when listening. Ooh, some flute could be cool as well, actually. Yeah, that's cool. Wasn't what I was looking for, but I think it works. I know I've got some nice vocals in here. And there's the Discord choir, which is pretty cool. Let's grab this. Yeah, so way too high. We've already got a nice high voice. We need think we need more. Micah's choir. I think this is it. Yes, it is. It's a bit much at the moment, but it just needs some fine adjusting, both in like the performance and more or less the mixing. The leveling actually is what needs to be adjusted the most there with these vocals particularly. Okay, yeah, I still want that sub bass. I just remembered. I keep getting sidetracked. There's so much that I want to do. I think I'm just gonna keep it simple. Key bass will be good. Yeah. You need that in there. I'm really running out of time now. I've got about 10 minutes left. Yeah, I honestly don't know where this track has gone. I don't know if it really truly fits as a part of Dragon Age, if it's better than the original. I highly doubt it is, but I am liking what it is becoming or has become. There is, so much still left to do to it, but with 10 minutes left, I don't think I'm gonna get this one finished. The one thing that I haven't gotten around to adding is something magical sounding. So that's kind of the last thing that I really want to do. I'm just gonna have a really quick look at what I have available, what might get me in the ballpark of kind of what I'm hearing in my head. A kalimba maybe, yeah, that could potentially work. I like that. Really, really messy playing, but I think what I'm going to do is, definitely slap a big reverb on that and just, sort of make it really ethereal. There we go. Time is up. All right, well, that finishes off the composition side of things. What I'm going to do now is a very quick fixing of the arrangement, just sort of tidying everything up, making sure that, everything sounds nice together as arrangements go, and then, do a very quick mix of everything as well to make it all sort of cohesive and add some of those final sort of little elements, things like reverb and maybe some delay and other fun effects like that. Again, to make it something cohesive and for it to sort of all work together so there's nothing, sort of like really competing against, because at the moment there definitely is some competing elements. So I'm going to give myself a 30-minute limit to finish all of that off, and once the timer rings, then tools down and the track stands as it is. Time's up. So I've kind of got it to a point where I am mostly happy with it, mix-wise and I guess arrangement-wise. I am just up to putting like the final touches on the mastering end of things, but there's still so much I wish I could have done with this one. I think I really wanted to do some more percussion elements, and definitely the transition between sort of like the A section and the B section. What I'm finding, particularly when going through the mixing process, is that, the transition, it feels a little bit janky. It's not quite as smooth as I would like it to be. So here is the track as it stands, along with some gameplay. So I definitely think it does work, but yeah, there's still some, missing components that I would like to throw in if I had some more time. Reinforcing the timpani, probably with maybe like a brass section, some horns, something like that. Potentially even carrying over the string section as well, maybe underneath everything. Because yes, when it does do that transition, you kind of lose some of that mid-range frequency energy that the string section brings. So there's that. There's definitely, some other percussion elements, some cymbal elements for sure. Yeah, and some other more like ethereal sounds, potentially like, like sparkly pad, synth pad kind of sounds would have been nice, potentially, here and there. Or even like the addition of, more medieval instrumentation, a lute style instrument, or even just, some like hand percussion, hand drums sort of stuff. Potentially from like sort of Eastern, dobro or something like that, could have worked as well. So I think I got something that is a good starting point, a good jumping off point to then build on top of. I just didn't quite get close enough to what I was sort of hearing in my head. But now the big question is, how does it compare to the Dragon Age 2 main theme? Ooh, nice. I really like that vocal. I also, like that, the droning string instrument, whatever that is. This is really nice. I mean, I'll have to listen to the original, the main theme from the first Dragon Age to see how it compares. Because this is great. I don't know why people wouldn't like this. Yeah, I think that was really good for a main theme. I think it definitely fits quite well. I think it's kind of funny as well that, there's definitely some similarities in my track to this one. The leaning on the droning sounds, the leaning on the vocal. I guess, that sort of big first section that builds up quite nicely, and then it transitions into a B section, and then I think a C section, then comes back to the do 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 do. So yeah, I wouldn't say that, this is a bad main theme. It definitely fits the game style really well. It is, I guess, a very typical fantasy sounding theme. It doesn't really stand out, that's for sure. Like, I think, you have a listen to the Skyrim soundtrack and it's familiar to a fantasy setting, but it kind of also stands alone. It stands by itself. As soon as you hear it, at least for me, as soon as I hear any of the tracks from the Skyrim soundtrack, I know immediately, this is Skyrim. Whereas, I think, this main theme, it could really be used anywhere. You could have shown me this and I probably would have said RuneScape, or even like Lotro, Lord of the Rings Online, or The Witcher. There's an absolute slew of fantasy games or fantasy TV. This could very easily be used in, there was that Merlin TV show that was quite popular probably about 10 years ago or so. Yeah, so it kind of like, I guess, just ticked all of the boxes, but didn't really step too far outside of the box, which, whether that's a good or a bad thing. Baldur's Gate is another one, that, this could work quite well in Baldur's Gate. And I wonder also if, people didn't like the OST because the game itself apparently was a bit of a letdown as well, comparative to the original game, Dragon Age Origins. So I wonder if, people just sort of wrote off the soundtrack immediately because the game didn't live up to the hype of the original. Yeah, it could definitely use a little bit more finessing to give it some individuality, some character to itself. How do you do that? I guess is a question many people would ask. I think probably leaning more into maybe like Eastern. There's a little bit of Eastern influence in there. You could definitely hear it with the drum choice that they went with. It sounds a lot more like an Eastern style drum rather than a classical sort of Western timpani style drum that I went with. So yeah, I think going down that route maybe could have given it a bit more character. So yeah, I'm definitely willing to admit that I didn't get anywhere close to the quality of the main theme that we get in this one. But again, I only gave myself 2 hours. It was a pretty tall challenge to take on. I think I got close. I think I could get even closer with double the amount of time. But yeah, overall, I'm fairly happy with how it turned out. But as I said, yeah, there's definitely plenty that I would like to continue working on to make it even better. So with all that said and done, let me know, what are your guys' thoughts on the Dragon Age 2 main theme? What are your thoughts on my main theme that I created for Dragon Age 2? And what OST should I fix next? Let me know in the comments down below. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel, check out one of these other videos that's appeared before me, and you'll catch me in the next one.